Good evening. How are you? This is a sit and talk because not rain, but heat kept us off the road. We had to do some things with the animals during the day because of the heat, but it was oppressive combined with the humidity. It was 91 degrees. It's supposed to be 100 tomorrow, and the Thomas Jefferson tells me that the humidity was 67%. So pretty severe. There's no wind here, so I don't feel that, but there is air conditioning, so I apologize for any sounds you may hear. Today strikes me as a very strange day in the history of our experiences with the orange oaf from the West Wing, Mr. Trump. Something happened today, and we're not going to know exactly what it was for days, or maybe hours. You can't be sure. You just feel like there's a little spycraft going on here. Let's start with the obvious. There's an announcement this afternoon that Israel and Iran are going to have a ceasefire, but neither side makes any statement to that effect. No word either confirming or denying the ceasefire from either side. And the ceasefire is Israel and Iran, and we're apparently not part of that, although we just dropped bombs on Iran. And here's another peculiar thing. I think Trump got his nose out of joint because none of these people ever act deliberately in the sense of a fact that makes no sense to go forward should not be ignored, because when it comes out afterwards, it's clear. So I'm not talking in circles here. One of the critical elements of Trump blowing up what he presumes to be sites in Iran where there is the enrichment of uranium. Okay. And the argument is this is imminent and dangerous, and we have to do this to save us all from the terrible Armageddon that could come if we don't act. And there's one problem with that, and that is that Israel went in before us, and they bombed the hell out of the state, and they have publicly said that what they did was they set back Iran for several years in developing a nuclear weapon. Okay, so they had done that when Trump went in there to save us from the imminent danger that Israel had taken care of. That's the way I see it. I think it further underscores the value of actually consulting with Congress and experts rather than impulsively putting us all at risk. And we don't know if we're still at risk. Another thing we should consider, and that is Iran attacked an American base in Qatar, and our president, Trump, says nobody was killed, and there were 13 shots, and they blocked 12 of the missiles, and the other one didn't matter. Well, you can't take anything they say is true, and maybe it is true. And the ceasefire followed that. But late in this evening, I was brought aware of threats by the Israelis to a high-level general in Iran. And basically, what they told him was that we're closer to you now than your own neck vein. And if you don't do what we say, in the next 12 hours, we will kill you and your family. You have 12 hours to get out of town. Now, I don't know if that's spycraft, if that's legitimate. And supposedly, the general was encouraged to dissociate from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. In other words, to create chaos within the government for this general to stand back lest his family be killed. Now, where are we? I don't think we'll know for a few days where we are. I don't know if we'll ever know whether the Mossad or anybody from Israel made these overtures, whether they were effective or not. I don't know how the ceasefire can work in this sense. If Israel and the United States will sit on their laurels, as they self-describe how wonderful they were, and think to themselves, well, whatever assurances we get or don't get from Iran, we've already delayed the enrichment of uranium. Now, there's a question about that, because you may have seen a picture of these trucks lining up outside the most prize-worthy target of attacking Iran. There were a whole line of trucks before we attacked Iran, that is the United States. Doesn't it stand to reason, and I said this yesterday, so forgive me for repeating myself, doesn't it stand to reason that they removed the valuable enriched uranium when they knew or suspected Israel or the United States was going to attack them? I think so. Then the next question, though, which is interesting, is why then did the Iranians seal off the entranceway into where this nuclear weaponry, the enriched uranium, and the centrifuges were kept? Now, there's one physical reason that strikes me, and I don't know if this is true or not, but the physics of it is you have these bombs coming down, and they're going to crush everything below them. And then, like in the movies, you would see stuff go out through any opening that there was. But this opening was clogged up. Why would the Iranians do that? And it may have been they figured that they might delimit some of the danger from the bomb falling to the site itself by compressing the air, which would resist the assault. Maybe not. There are too many questions. And then among the loyal MAGA followers of Trump, we have Green accusing Trump of a bait and switch when he told his followers that we were going to be isolationists. We were going to take care of ourselves. We're not going to have war. And she accused Trump of trying to please and appease the neocons, the warmongers, the military-industrial contractors. Fair argument. And joining her in this is, of course, Bannon and some others. In addition, we have a Republican congressman who is standing forward, and he would support the war resolution proposed by Tim Kaine, the senator from Virginia, whom I know well and think very highly of. He's been here for years. I first met him when he decided to run for lieutenant governor after he'd been mayor of Richmond. And he's very solid in terms of when he doing his homework, and this is an issue that he cares about. And so he has a war resolution. Now, how does that work in the period of time after war has been conducted without the approval of Congress? Well, for one thing, it says going forward, nothing. It also might consider censure. And as I said yesterday, I would think most certainly about impeachment. And some say, yes, we don't have the numbers, but I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's true because no one can pin Trump down as to who and what he is, because he doesn't care. He doesn't care what ideology he is, what position he takes, as long as he has the power and can do whatever the hell he wants. That's Trump. And this hard-sweating approach to how to handle Iran, it actually reminds me, I never thought highly of Teddy Roosevelt for San Juan Hill. There were other things he did that I thought were amazing, but he was posturing and using war in a war that probably was unjustified, because remember the Maine that we believe they had sunk, there's a lot of dispute that anybody from the islands did that. Okay, anyhow, that's somewhat different. Here we have another situation in which we know very clearly two things. One, the strike was unnecessary if it was merely to delay the development of nuclear enriched uranium. Because Israel had already done that. We also don't know, I don't know if we would ever know, what's at the bottom of these huge, monstrous depositions of steel and bombs and so forth dropped in the areas where we believe, and the world may or may not believe, this enriched uranium exists. So what do we have? We have a real problem here. We have a president that is totally unreliable, not trustworthy, posturing all the time, and not following the truth, not following good policy. You know, when in doubt, speak the truth and do what's right. Very simple. This is alien to Trump, and he puts us all at risk, because if the so-called Mossad overture to a general doesn't work, and if Iran figures we just bide our time, because we have saved I believe that they have saved whatever enriched uranium they had, which may mean they could build the bomb now, if you can believe what Israel says and what we were saying before we invaded Iran, and why we said we invaded Iran. Nobody can prove that we actually did stop the enriching of the uranium. So, where do we stand? Peace is good, maybe, no matter how we come about it. Reckoning is good and necessary, it seems to me. When you've punched somebody in the face with facts and process that show how wrong they are, even as Trump lies and tries to get out of this situation, I think that that's when you seize the moment. I am hopeful that on the Hill, they'll continue to press and go forward with the war resolution. I'm hoping that the bill, the beautiful bill, is in trouble on the Senate and the House side, because it is a declaration of war against the people by the enemy of the people, Trump and his maggot followers. So those are a few thoughts I have this evening. I hope it didn't wander too much trying to give some structure to what Trump does, which is a preference for chaos, with the appearance of regularity. So like he's the hero on San Juan Hill. There's probably no horse he could ride maybe at any time in the last 20 years that could sustain the heft of his hindquarters. But there we are. And tomorrow is supposed to be hotter, so it's supposed to be 100. And when I got in my vehicle this morning, the thing said 110. and it didn't go down below 92. So obviously the car was cooler than that. So be careful with the temperature, and follow the sporadic news, because I think it'll be interesting as it shifts from one place to another over the next 24 to 48 hours. All the best. Bye-bye.